Well, Happy New Year! In this video, we will reveal the secrets to transform your hair routine in 2025 to reach your hair goals faster and easier. So if you want to learn more, then grab a pen, paper, and your favorite fat-burning beverage and keep on watching. Hello, welcome to the channel. This is Trina Claver, your 4C hair transformation coach. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are a subscriber, welcome back. And I'm so glad you're here. Can you believe it? It is 2025. Oh my God. And we're 12 days into the new year. I don't know about you, but it feels like time is going so very fast. So I know that this is a time of year people have evaluated the results of the last year and looking at your goals to see what you can do a little differently. And so I wanted to take this time to talk about your routines. Now, before we get into the video, I do have a tip for beginners, and I wanted to share this tip because I think that this was the one thing that really helped me to understand my hair a little better, a lot faster. And that is find a successful natural hair influencer that is successful in their efforts and have your same hair texture. Why is that important? Especially if you're 4C or type 4 hair, because there's a big difference between 4C and 4A. That difference will dictate the type of products and the tools that you use. Because 4C hair is so tight, it is important that you use the right products to handle the detangling process, right? And so that's one tip that I want to share with you. So if you don't do anything else, find a YouTuber or an influencer on whatever platform that will be, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or whatever that is, and make sure that they have your hair type. That's one of the reasons why I named my channel 4C, because 4C hair does have a little bit of difference in terms of your routine. So with that out of the way, I want to say to you ladies, of course, you know your hair is always growing, right? So these routines that we're going to go over today must be a part of your goals. You got to have these activities active. First of all, I have my notes, my handy notes, so that I won't forget anything, because all of this is important. So the first one is journaling. And there's 3 reasons why you want to journal. The first reason is that it's going to help you keep up with all of the hair events that you've done, whether it's your shampoo wash day, whether you did a remoisturization or you did an oil treatment or a protein treatment. You want to keep track of that so that it will start creating a pattern so that you can figure out when is the best time based upon your hair. And the second reason is that you'll learn what your hair loves. That's important. Why? Because if you make your hair angry, remember, angry hair will leave you. Yes, angry hair don't sit around and wait for your apology. No, honey, it doesn't work like that. You mess up, game over. Okay? So use your journal to help you learn what your hair loves and stick to those things. And the third reason, you'll eventually start saving money and time, because your experience with that product will help you know which ones that you should spend your coins on. Okay? So here's the things you want to track in your journal, and there's 5 things. And here's the first one. You want to evaluate your cleansing products, like your shampoos, your conditioners, your deep conditioners, your detangling products, because you want to pay attention to not only the ingredients, but the texture, the smell, if you liked it or not. If it made your hair feel dry, did it create a slip that you love and need, especially if you're 4C? Okay. And then the second thing is the styling products. Those will be your gels, your leave-in conditioners, your butters, your sealants. You want to pay attention to those things and to see if they play well with your leave-in conditioner, because the last thing you want that styling product to do is leave flakes in your hair. And the third thing is, how long did it take your scalp to get irritated between washes? That's extremely important, because as long as you can keep your scalp in health, then you can keep your hair flourishing. And the fourth thing is, how long did it take for you to have to re-moisturize your hair based on the product that you use. And also, of course, the time of the year also play a role in that. But that your journal will help you to track that, so that you'll know what happens in the summer, spring, and fall using that product in terms of you having to re-moisturize your hair. And the fifth one, to pay attention to the ingredients in that product so that it does not contain any ingredients that you have sensitivities to. Okay. Now, the second routine activity is length retention. And like I said earlier, our hair is always growing, but especially for 4C, our biggest challenge is length retention, because of our hair can get dry faster, and if we're manipulating it too much, we tend to lose that growth through that manipulation. And that's the first thing, low manipulation. This is the first thing you want to make sure you're doing. And low manipulation could encompass a few things. You want to, number one, you want to have the proper protective styling. That is, especially if you have a protective style that have leave outs, depending upon how you have to manipulate that piece of leave out is going to dictate on whether that it starts to thin in that position. So having that style too often will definitely compromise that section that you're having to leave out every time you wear that style. And then the other part about protective styling is leaving it in too long. That will definitely irritate your scalp. So those are the two things about that you want. And so when you do put your protective style in there, you want to choose a protective style that you can actually keep your hair moisturized throughout the entire process. And then the final thing about protective styling is the take down. You want to make sure that when you're taking down that protective style, that you're not breaking your hair. And that may mean moisturizing it, taking your time, be patient, do it on the day where you're most relaxed and you have time to do it, right? So you want to go through the techniques of taking it down so you can minimize the breakage. And then the other part, the second part of low manipulation, is the detangling process. Finger detangling, I had a video that I talked about the proper techniques for finger detangling, because finger detangling is actually an art to it, right? So you want to be able to perfect that technique so you can prevent as much breakage as possible. And then when you're in the process of doing detangling, even the combs and the brushes that you use during that process, or when you're styling, because like I said earlier, 4C hair is very unique. We really have to be paying attention to the tools and the products that we're using when we are manipulating the hair and using the right techniques. There's this for us 4C ladies. I know I talked about the unbrush, the FHI unbrush. That one is a game changer in minimizing hair breakage. So if you haven't gotten that, ladies, that's something you want to put on your to get list. Okay, all right. And then the other length retention, the number two, is keeping your ends moisturized and sealed with your favorite oils and butters. Okay, so you want to baby your ends. I know I find myself babying my ends a lot. And then the third thing for length retention is trimming your ends according to when they need it. So you want to be examining your ends, and you determine, I know there's so many people that say you need to cut your ends every 2 to 3 months or whatever that is. No, everybody's hair is different. What you want to do is pay attention to your ends and let your ends tell you when they need to be cut. Right? Now, when you're manipulating your hair, it's a good idea to get rid of fairy knots. I know when you're finger detangling, you can feel those fairy knots in there. And if you can't get it out with your fingers, then I encourage you to do this. And this is something that I do on my days when I get ready to do my pre-poo. I invested into some professional scissors. I use the Cool La La. There's so many on the market. I'll put some links to them in there, but just choose one. Now, one thing that I do in terms of making sure that these are in good condition, of course you can see I keep it, and I bought this almost a year ago. I keep this in this package, and after I use it, I clean off any product and I make sure that they are dry, and I put them back in here. So keeping those tools in good condition so that it won't get dull, it won't snag it, and it won't cause your ends to fray. That's very, very important. Okay, so get yourself a good pair of scissors, and that is for length retention. Now, the third routine is scalp health. Our scalp is like soil to a plant. That's what our scalp is like for our hair. So it's important to keep that scalp in really, really good condition. And how do you do that? You want to make sure that on your wash days that you're shampooing, which is focused on the scalp, right? And the best thing to do, especially if you have dense hair, is to section your hair off so that you can gain access to the scalp a lot easier. I know I have to do that, especially for the back part of my hair, because that's where my hair is most dense. And then the second part of scalp health is to remove any foods or products that has ingredients that you're sensitive to. And why is that important? It's because when you put those things on your scalp, it activates your immune system, and your immune system fights with inflammation. So it'll cause inflammation because it's trying to attack that thing that it feels that is a foreigner. And so inflammation will stop your hair from growing. So you definitely want to pay attention to the ingredients. Make sure that the foods that you're choosing does not cause inflammation in your scalp. And the third thing, you want to use the right density of oils according to your wash days. Okay, that's important. Especially if you're the type of person that like to wash your hair once a month. Imagine you putting heavy oils on your hair every 2 or 3 days and never washing your hair for another month. That is going to clog your pores and make it very difficult, or it's going to slow down your hair growth. So if you're the type of person that's washing your hair once a week, you could probably get away with a heavy oil. But if you're waiting a whole month, I encourage you to use lighter oil. Keep your scalp oiled, but don't use a heavy oil. The fourth one is blood flow. I know we've talked about that before, where in terms of hair growth and blood flow, where blood flows, hair grows. So it's very, very important that you do activities that keep massive blood flow going to your scalp as often. And there are several ways you can do that. Number one, scalp massages, regular scalp massages. Now, I do have a video where I talked about that through Hair Guard, where they have the Grow Brand Pro, where it automates it. And we found out that there's a technique of actually massaging your scalp, and that is scalp over skull, where you're moving it constantly over the skull, stimulating massive blood flow. That's one. Number two is to exercise. I think most people don't realize that exercise causes massive blood flow throughout your entire body. And it doesn't matter whether it's weightlifting or cardio. Either one of those is causing massive blood flow because it's got to flood that body with blood wherever body part that you're doing. And if you're running, of course, you're still getting that massive blood flow. So regular exercise is number 2. And the third thing is drinking water. Drinking water will allow your blood to be fluid enough and not get stagnated and thick, so that it can carry the oxygen and the nutrients throughout your entire body, including your scalp. And then we got the fourth thing, that is oiling your scalp with essential oils that are blood stimulating oils. And some of the ones that most everybody know is peppermint oil, rosemary oil, and eucalyptus oil. Now there's 2 other herbs or seasons, I can say, that will also help stimulate blood flow, and that is cayenne pepper and black pepper. Cayenne pepper has a compound called capsaicin, and that compound allows the blood vessels to expand. They widen, which brings massive blood flow. And then black pepper has a compound called piperine. That's piperine, and it relaxes the blood vessels, which also encourage massive blood flow. So you can incorporate those by infusing them into a carrier oil like olive oil, avocado oil, and let it fuse in, and then rub that on your scalp, and you'll start to feel it to start to stimulate it, and it's just working its magic in causing massive blood flow. And then number 5 is red light therapy. Now, red light therapy has become very, very popular. Of course, you know, I do my research on stuff. I follow this guy by the name of Gary Brecka. If you don't know who Gary Brecka is, I'll put a link into the description box, because if you don't know who he is, you want to follow Gary Brecka. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, red light therapy, I've decided to invest in it. There's many of them on the market, so do your research, and following Gary Brecka, you can figure a lot of that out. But I ended up buying this one called Intro. Okay, this is the one that I bought. Now, before I bought this one, I did get another one, but it really wasn't, and it had the same qualities to it, but the how you use it was different. And so the one that I bought at first didn't work for my lifestyle, because I don't sit around doing nothing. I mean, I am very creative. I have a lot of goals, and I'm never sitting around doing nothing. So for me to just sit there under a light and not being able to do my activities at the same time, I sent it back and I got this one. So, because this one allowed me to put it on my head, put it in my face, put it on my body parts that I wanted to stimulate more blood flow, and still do my work. But the good news about the red light therapy, it goes deep into the dermal level, and it stimulates blood flow by giving energy to the mitochondria, and it causes massive blood flow. Now, there's so many on the market, you can find one that fits your budget, and just make sure that they have the criteria that qualifies for the use that you're looking for, and make sure that it works for your lifestyle, right? So that brings us to the last routine, and that is your nutrients, the nutrition. And I talked about that in the last video, where I introduced my new book, Diet Transformation for Massive Hair Growth. And if you haven't gotten your copy, definitely get your copy. There's a link in the description box, or you can click the QR code and get your copy. Take advantage of the 25% off, because in that book and during that video, we talked about the reasons for nutrients. Because if you don't have the nutrients that your hair follicles need in the blood, well, having massive blood flow, saturating your follicles, and it's missing the nutrients, right? But even if you are having if you've transformed your diet, well, there's other things that I talk about in the book about vitamins and supplements. It's extremely important because of what's happening with the soil. Okay, so solutions to all of that you will find in the book, but you want to make sure that you have the vitamins and the supplements in addition to a transformed diet, because that will guarantee that you always have the nutrients that your follicle needs in order to grow and flourish. There's so many things that impact the nutrients from getting to your hair follicles, and all of those issues, the solutions are found in this book. So definitely get your copy of that. So in terms of nutrients, you definitely want to transform your diet into a whole foods diet, because it will be void of pesticides, herbicides, preservatives, GMOs that causes your immune system to be in flight at all time, causing inflammation. We've already talked about what inflammation does to your scalp and what an inflamed scalp does to your hair growth. There won't be any, right? Okay, so let's recap the 5 routines. The first one is your nutrients. You want to make sure that you getting the nutrients that your follicles need into your body. And then the second foundation is the blood flow. Those nutrients are going to go into your bloodstream, and that blood is going to travel up to your scalp and flood your follicles with those nutrients. And then the next thing is your scalp itself, to make sure that it is healthy, it is clean, it is void of any inflammation. And then the next is your length retention. Now that you've done all the things to get that hair to grow up out of the scalp, now it's time to retain that hair. You gotta do all the things, making sure that you detangling it correctly and taking care of your ends. You got all of that. And then the final thing is journaling. Journaling everything. Journaling your journey. Learning your hair. Learning what your hair actually loves, so that you can save time, save money, and see growth faster, making your journey so much easier. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and you found value in it. Please like, share, comment. And also remember that if you haven't gotten your copy of the Diet Transformations for Massive Hair Growth, definitely click the QR code, or you can click the link in the description box. And while you're there, definitely leave your comments, share, and send it to someone that you know it will be beneficial for them. We got a lot of things planned for 2025, and like I said in my last video, the new playlist called Recipe for Massive Hair Growth. If you follow me on that, we will be doing a lot of those. And just so you know, if you follow the tips in those videos, you probably end up losing a little weight too, but just like a bonus. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I pray that the blessings overtake you like the wind for 2025, and I will see you on the next video. Be blessed.